Good evening, everyone. I am Becky Pringle. I am the president of the largest labor union in this country, the National Education Association, and it is my honor to welcome you to this discussion about the importance of social and emotional well-being of our members and their students. Those of you who have joined us tonight know that the coronavirus pandemic and the failed responses to it has taken a toll on many of our students, far too many, and their families, and the educators working tirelessly every day to provide them with the highest quality education and to deliver meals and to provide technology support and equipment to our students. I have spoken with countless NEA members who are becoming overwhelmed by the stress and the demands of these uncertain and chaotic and also challenging times. COVID-19 has also exacerbated the stressors of the systemic inequities on our students and their families and our most vulnerable communities all across this country. Our Black and Brown and Indigenous students are disproportionately struggling to access the internet and computers to actively engage in remote learning. And they're experiencing the loss of loved ones to the coronavirus at a higher rate. They're also experiencing the economic downturn at increased levels, making support for their social and emotional learning even more important. To support our members in navigating through all of that, I am so pleased that NEA is partnering with the Yale Center for Emotional Intelligence to provide our members with access to managing emotions in times of uncertainty and stress, a course for educators and school staff focused on strategies for dealing with uncertainty and stress, and other emotions relevant to the current time, as well as providing strategies for helping students manage their emotions. This 10-hour course, which is free to NEA members, begins with learning about why SEL, social emotional learning, is an important component of teaching and learning. Course participants will explore how to identify and how to manage their own emotions, including how to support others and their emotions in scientific and culturally responsive ways. We are so very fortunate to have Dr. Mark Brackett, author of the book, Permission to Feel, Unlocking the Power of Emotions to help our kids, ourselves, and our society to thrive. And Mark is also the director of the Yale Center for Emotional Intelligence. He's going to walk us through this valuable resource. You can access managing emotions in times of stress and uncertainty on the NEA website at educatingthroughcrisis.org. Now let me turn it over to the distinguished Dr. Brackett, who will talk more about this work and this resource. Dr. Brackett?
Well, I can't thank you enough, Becky, for inviting me into the NEA world. And also I want to say that if this work in education doesn't work out, you can do like commercials for movies or something. Your voice is just incredible. I'm like, oh, I like listening to that. So thank you for inviting me to be with all of you. I was noticing that when you were introducing the course that people were thinking, do I have to sit with this guy for 10 hours tonight?
Yes, you do.
Yes, exactly. We're going, this is like a telethon. We're up until 4 in the morning. Tonight, what I want to do for everyone, honestly, is just give you a little bit of tools and, a little bit of strategies and a little bit of hope, because as you said, there's a lot of uncertainty, there's a lot of stress. Some of it is our mindset, some of it are the structures that are around us that need to be changed and fixed. But what I'm hoping to do tonight is really help people understand the things they have control over and learn how to as I say, use the power of emotions to achieve their well-being and success. So very excited to start. I'm going to share my screen now, and I'm just going to jump right in. So you've heard from Becky about who I am. Just to give you a little bit more information, my day job is I am a psychologist. I'm a professor at Yale University, and I am the proud founder and director of the Center for Emotional Intelligence. We are a team of 60 people who are scientists and practitioners, retired principals, superintendents, other counselors, and all forms of educators working together to do two big things. We kind of run around the world together, trying to get people to talk about their feelings. And then we do a lot of science. And I'm going to share all of that with you tonight. I'd love to know where everybody's coming from, though. I know that the NEA is everywhere in the United States. So can we just, like, instead of me just talking, can I get some of our participants to share where are you from? And you can, it's set, you have to put it to, a lot of you are just sending to all panelists, which you can do, or you can do panelists and attendees, and that way everybody gets it. But I'm seeing California. Now I can't even keep up. New Jersey, Cleveland, New Jersey. A lot of New Jersey people. I'm from New Jersey, by the way.
Oregon, Idaho.
Awesome. Well, welcome, Idaho.
South Carolina, New Hampshire, Washington State, Kansas, Vermont,
Nice.
Puerto Rico.
I'm having this memory now of that song you had to memorize in 3rd grade. Alabama, Alaska, Arizona, Arkansas. I won't do that, but I still remember it. Well, welcome everyone. It's so nice to have people from across the United States joining us tonight, and Puerto Rico as well. So welcome, and we're gonna just jump right in. If you are someone who likes to use social media for the good, I only like to use social media to promote positive things. That's my Twitter handle, Instagram, Facebook, and those are our websites, which is my website where you get lots of free resources, and Ruler, which is our center's approach to social and emotional learning. I'm going to begin tonight with a quote. So I'm going to ask all of you, maybe for those of you who are on the East Coast with me, it's 8 o'clock at night. It's a long day. And for those of you all the way on the West Coast, I know it's 5 p.m. It's the end of your day too. So let's just maybe be still for a moment, take a nice long inhale, and maybe stretch our necks if you're comfortable doing that. Loosen up your shoulders. I have decided I need to go to the chiropractor. Anybody else like me where your neck now sticks out about 6 inches? Oh. All right, here we go. And when the storm is over, you won't remember how you made it through, how you managed to survive. You won't even be sure whether the storm is really over. But one thing is certain. When you come out of the storm, you won't be the same person who walked in. Haruki Murakami. Can I ask everyone to just take a moment, just be still, and maybe just, what's your first reaction to that poem? Be honest, whatever came up for you, what does it make you think about? And let's use our chat to share some of our thoughts, please. Relief, growth, trauma, childhood. There's hope for the future, resilience, amen, growth, survival, growth mindset, hope. Body keeps the score. Appreciation, resilience, change, hope. Thank you. Let's just take one more inhale and just digest this quote. I have to say that I've learned a lot. One of the things that I've learned something about personally is being with myself. I'm used to running around the world doing presentations live and teaching and being with our team. And now I'm alone a lot. And sometimes I'm lonely. I don't know if you can relate to that, but a lot of times I'm just alone. And it's been interesting to get to know myself. And as the director of the Center for Emotional Intelligence, I've also learned that, boy, oh boy, I've got some learning to do around emotional intelligence. So I'd like to get everyone kind of in the mindset now of emotional intelligence. This is a tool we call the mood meter. And I heard from a guest webinar person that they're using the mood meter already, which is fabulous. And this is a tool that's based in science. And I'm going to help you just build greater awareness. On the x-axis, it says pleasantness. So take a moment and think about it. -5, very unpleasant. +5, very pleasant. Where are you right now on the x-axis? On the y-axis, energy. Are you full of energy, or do you feel depleted? For a lot of you, a lot of us, right, it's coming up to a holiday break. What's your energy like? -5, you want to just jump into bed right now and pull the covers over your head and disappear. +5, you just can't contain yourself. So where are you? Let's everybody take a moment and just type in their color. What color on the mood meter are you tonight? Yellow, high energy and pleasant. Green, blue, red. We got lots of greens, lots of blues, greens, yellows. Green, yellow, green, bluish green, turquoise. So it looks like we've got a lot of people, not a lot of people with high energy, although some people. So let's take a moment and think about this. I am your teacher right now, and I've got hundreds of students in my classroom who are feeling all emotions. I've got people in the yellow, they're energized and they're pleasant. I've got people in the green who are calm. I've got people in the blue and the red. It's a lot for me to handle, isn't it? Raise your hand if that resonates with you. Like, you got a lot of feelings to deal with as a teacher. Yeah. And so my screen is blowing up right now. The first thing I want to do is I want us to see our language. So what I'd like you to do right now is convert your color to a feeling word. Everyone, on the count of 1, 3, 2, 1. What's your feeling word? Go. Wiped out, still, calm, drained, peeved, frazzled, content, tired, content, calm, overwhelmed, exhausted, stressed. Oh my goodness. Drained, chill, hopeful, drained. Ugh. Uneasy. Again, now we're getting more granular, more specific. Lots of different feelings. All right, now here's the big question. Well, firstly, give me a thumbs up or if you had some trouble, like kind of being precise. Did anyone find that it was like actually hard to find the right word? It's not as easy as we think, finding these words. Okay, now next question is, we're here for 10 hours. Just kidding. Although, this is so important I could actually do it for 10 hours. I'm not sure how my team would be. Erin, you up for that? Becky's probably.
Always.
Yeah, there you go.
Let's go.
No, let's just take the course. Take the course, Mark. Let him go. So we're here for a long evening, just an hour. But I really do want to know your strategy. When you notice yourself getting tired, or if you're distracted by the frustration that you've been feeling throughout the week, or the anger, or the sadness, or the fear, whatever it might be, or you're feeling energized, but the energy is going to drop, I'd love to know your strategy. So please, what's your strategy? Kathleen's going to play her guitar, take a walk, unplug, walk your dog. All right, freeze. So a lot of you are giving me like life strategies, like calling a friend and listening to music, but you can't do that during my webinar. I mean, I guess you could, but it might be a little weird. So I need to know right here, You're gonna go for a run during my webinar? What are you gonna do right here, right now? Some breathing, mindset shifts, bite your fingernails, take some breaths, affirmations, drink some tea, have some gratitude, tapping, positive talk, wine. Hey, that's not fair. Close your eyes, take notes, zone out for a second. Let me ask another question. How many of you over the last couple of months have, like, I'm gonna be honest, how many of you just lost it for a minute? Like, you're just like, I can't take it anymore. And like, you just didn't do well at regulating. Anyone willing to admit that? Give me a thumbs up.
Got a lot of yeses, Mark. Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that in the chat. Constantly, yes, yes, yes. So if I went back to all of you and just shared your strategies, you're having a meltdown, and I said something like, come on, just take a deep breath, or go have a cup of tea, or pray, or sit up, or drink some iced tea, or go pet your dog, or pace, or drink some cold water. What do you think? Helpful, unhelpful? You tell me to shut up. The question is, it all depends, right? It's complicated. I mean, it's really hard to manage our feelings. I don't know about you, but I've struggled over the last 9 months dealing with my feelings, from anxiety to anger to frustration, from everything that's happened to us and to other people. I think it's hard. How many of you, I'm just curious, have noticed that your students are struggling dealing with their feelings? Does that resonate with you? Do you notice that students are struggling dealing with their feelings? So I'm seeing 100% absolutely yes. And let me ask you one other question before I move on. How many of you feel as if when you went to school, middle school, high school, college, to become an educator, how many of you feel like you got a really solid emotion education to support you in managing all of your feelings and help students manage theirs? Saying nope, 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 zero, zero, nope, nope. And so it's unfortunate. And, you know, my hope is get to work with NEA for the next decade to ensure that everybody gets an emotion education. And just honored again to be with all of you tonight to talk about this work. There's a cheat sheet. So in our course, you get to learn about the mood meter. This happens to come from the inside cover of my book. And there are dozens, if not hundreds of words that we could use to describe our feelings. But what do most of us say? How you feeling? Fine. What's new? Nothing. Now it's the big one. I'm stressed. And the question is, well, how are you really feeling? And we're going to go into some details of that tonight. I like Christina's point. The person may not really want to know. We know from COVID that parents are more anxious and depressed than before. Children are having more troubles dealing with their feelings. Adults are 8 times more likely, just since 2018, to feel serious stress. And we know, you know, Becky mentioned this in her opening, that our BIPOC communities have had some serious challenges, higher chances of contracting the virus, oftentimes because of the work that they have, greater need for food, less access to quality health care. And actually these data have been updated recently. We know from research that Black Americans are 3 times more likely to die from the coronavirus than their white counterparts. As a matter of fact, among children, what we know is that 75% of children who die from the coronavirus are children of color. And so I bring these data up. BIPOC is an acronym for Black, Indigenous, and People of Color. And I bring this up because I think it is important to understand that we have individual things that we have to work on. Yes, Mark needs to learn how to manage his feelings. But when you look at these data, it makes you understand that we have a society to work through, a culture, from schools to homes to communities to states to a nation. And that these are not about people, these are about building emotionally intelligent communities where all people are valued and supported and appreciated. Now, we've done some research on educators like yourselves, and here's some interesting findings. Back when COVID began, we asked teachers, how are you feeling? Anxiety was the #1 word. In July, we said, well, how do you anticipate feeling at the beginning of the new school year? Anxiety, #1 word. When we asked teachers over the last couple of weeks, the top word is, anyone want to guess? What's the #1 word? Actually, the person who gets it right is going to get a free book from me. The #1 word. Anxiety, 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 exhausted, exhausted. You're close. It was not. It was a kind of a trick question. Overwhelmed. Who's our first person? It's Sandra Alexandrino. Sandra Alexandrino. I don't know if I gave you an Italian name or not, or Spanish, but overwhelmed. You're the winner. Erin, would you just take a note and get in touch with Sandra so we can get her a book?
Absolutely.
And so it's now overwhelmed. People are just sort of like, I got way too much on my plate. I can't take it anymore. And it makes sense, right? Anxiety is about uncertainty, which we all have been feeling, but now we're just chronically overwhelmed by having so much on our plates. When we asked teachers over the summer, well, how do you want to feel in the beginning of the school year? They said confident, excited, happy, and safe. All right, guess what? I'm going to give another book away. Guess, in the last 2 weeks, we've asked teachers, what or how do you want to feel? What do you think the #1 emotion is that a teacher says they want to feel right now? Safe, happy, supported. We got it. It was D. Lindstrom, appreciated. I hope you were the first one. Yes. The #1 word is appreciated. Oh, so what's interesting about this research, I think, is that knowing how we feel is important, but also figuring out, well, how do people want to feel? Because I don't know about you, but I think it's important for our school communities, our school leaders, our superintendents to understand the emotions that we are striving to experience more. Does this resonate? Does this speak to you in terms of this idea that we have our feelings and then we have our hoped for feelings? And that maybe we need to work towards figuring out the ways to help people experience their hoped for feelings more frequently. In general, what I will share with you is that we're pretty emotionally out of balance. We've got a lot of red and blue and only a little bit of yellow and green. And I think there's some interesting phenomenon there, right? That people are saying, well, let's all try to find our ways to be happy and excited. I don't know, it's been hard for me to be happy all the time right now with all the stress and things that are happening in society. So what's the goal then? My question for you is, what are we supposed to do with all these feelings? So Christina, we've been out of balance for a while as a nation. Actually, when we studied teachers 3 years ago, it was frustration. Then it was anxiety. Now it's overwhelmed. So it hasn't been, as pleasant as we'd like it to be. To find balance. What are people's thoughts? What's the goal? The goal can't be checking your email. Yeah, I know that feeling, gosh. Setting parameters. It is happy would be good too. Don't get me wrong. Fulfilled. Name our feelings. The goal of our center is to help all of us, especially our educators and students, use the power of emotions to create a healthier and more equitable, innovative, and compassionate society. And I do believe, as someone just mentioned, that it starts with this basics of permission to feel. So I just want to share a little bit about my background with you. And I apologize in advance that I don't want to be a trigger for anyone, but I did have a very difficult childhood. I had abuse in my childhood. I had a tremendous amount of bullying in my childhood, and I was a very unhappy kid, sadly. And I was pretty much trapped with my feelings. My mom was a lovely person, but she had a lot of anxiety, and I learned very early, don't tell mommy about your problems because she'll have a nervous breakdown. And my father was a tough guy who just always was telling me to toughen up. And so it's tough to not have any place to go with your feelings. And by some wave of a magic wand, there was a teacher who happened to be my uncle, my mother's brother. He was a middle school teacher, sixth grade social studies teacher in the Catskill Mountains of New York State. And he happened to be working on a curriculum to teach kids about feelings through social studies. And he happened to be getting a graduate degree in the town where I grew up. And he would sit with me in the backyard and he would ask me the question that I asked all of you at the beginning of our webinar. He was the only person in my life by the time I was 12 years old who really said, Mark, how are you feeling? And he did something that no one else did. He listened. And he didn't say, get some grit. He never told me what to do. He listened and then he offered ideas. And he said, well, how are we going to get through all this pain together? How can I support you? What do you need? And I'm just want to share that he was the adult who gave me that permission to feel. And it was the first time I just shared, I hate school. I was failing as a student. I was a C&D student. I was alienated. I was isolated. I was excluded. I was lonely. I was angry. I was sad. And for the first time, I was able to express it with someone who really cared. So I ask all of you right now, with everything that's going on in society, when you think about this term for you, permission to feel, what does it mean? What comes up for you? Understanding, vulnerability, acknowledgement, being real. It's okay to cry. Slowing down, transparent, aware, validation. Thank you for sharing all those beautiful attributes. Authentic, acceptance. Now, as you know, I feel unbelievably blessed that I have or had Uncle Marvin. I don't think everybody has an Uncle Marvin. As a matter of fact, research shows that only about a third of children in our schools across America feel like they have that Uncle Marvin. Did you have an Uncle Marvin? Who was the adult in your life? Some people didn't have one. The good news is that you can be an Uncle Marvin to yourself, by the way. And when you think about the Uncle Marvins, or the hope for Uncle Marvins, what are the characteristics of these people? What are the characteristics of the people who give us permission to feel? Listeners, empathic, open, good listeners, warm. Yes. So when I did the research on this recently, I asked people, and the words they came up with were empathic, compassionate, non-judgmental, supportive, validating, unconditional love, patient. So I ask all of you right now, are you these characteristics to yourself? Are you being empathic to yourself during these challenging times? Are you being non-judgmental? Are you being self-supportive? Are you being compassionate? Are you giving yourself unconditional love? It's hard work. You know, it's funny, I was interviewed for a television show recently, and I was sharing my own story, and the person who was interviewing was like, oh, can we just talk about the science? I thought we were gonna talk about the science. And so I realized that he was not comfortable with my vulnerability. And since I'm, good at this kind of stuff, I was like, sure, not a problem. Thinking to myself, oh, this guy doesn't have an emotion education. So I do want to share with you the science though. And by the way, the course that we've built for all of you, that's for free, is going to go deep into this. So today I'm just going to touch on the surface. Emotions matter, right? They matter for how we attend to things. I'll make a joke here. I was a C and D student as a kid. I'm a pretty smart guy, just to be honest. But yet, I couldn't function academically because of my stress levels. So many of us get labeled as having a learning difference when it's trauma and stress that is really blocking us from being fully present. Decision-making, relationship quality, physical and mental health, performance, and creativity. So the good news is that I'm not going to have to teach this tonight because you get to sit back at your leisure when you log in for the course and just unpack all the science behind why emotions matter. Another big piece of the course that all of you have access to is helping you think through, what is your attitude about emotion? Are you an emotion scientist or are you an emotion judge? Seriously, are you open and curious and reflective? Or are you someone who's like closed and a little bit critical? Do you say, why are you so angry? Or do you say, tell me, how are you feeling? Let me ask another question. When you mess up regulating your feelings, like when you mess up and you just like say something you regret it, or you don't deal with your emotions very well, what is the story that you tell yourself? Do you say, oh, you're such an idiot, I'm never going to get good at this? Or do you apologize and forgive yourself as you're saying, Samuela? Think about it. Do you have a growth mindset or a fixed mindset around your skills in this space? There are 5 skills to emotional intelligence. We call them ruler. Recognizing our emotions, paying attention, understanding their causes and their consequences, labeling them, having the language, knowing how and when to express emotions, and having the strategies to regulate emotions. So I'm going to stop sharing for a moment, and we're going to play a little test of emotional intelligence. You should all be able to see me now. Is it a bigger screen now of me talking? Yes? Okay. We're going to play the game. We're going to play the game of name that emotion. Are you ready? Here we go. I'm going to display an emotion in 1 second, and I'm going to ask you to type in the feeling that I displayed. On the count of 1. 3, 2, 1. Okay. Focused, neutral, calm, anxious, pleasant, annoyed, content, bored, nice, calm, focused, present, could care less, doubtful. Okay, stop. So what's going on here? We've got doubtful, condescending, waiting, distracted, could be anything, bored, blah, content, pleased, annoyed, anxious. So what's up with this exercise? How could one face show all of those different emotions? Thank you, Maria. You all didn't even realize it, but you became the emotion judges. You just did. You just attributed emotion to me. None of you said, I can't really tell. Let me ask him how he's feeling, which is the correct response. So think about how many of us are being misread every day. Has anyone ever been misread? It looks like oh, by the way, I was just trying to show contentment. Meanwhile, some people are like, he care less about me. He's bored. He's distracted. He's anxious. I'm just trying to be content. Now I wonder why I don't have any friends. Nobody wants to be around me. They think I'm always being dismissive. I'm trying to show them how happy I am to see them. All right. RULER, recognize, understand, label, express, and regulate. Let's try another one. I come in, you're back out, you're no longer remote learning, you're in school. I come in, I hate school, I'm never coming back again. Has anyone ever seen something like that? That kind of behavior? Yes? All right, how am I feeling? What emotion is that? Angry, frustrated, frustration, overwhelmed. All right, freeze. What happened again? What happened again? Yes, you became the emotion judge again. It's so fast, isn't it? We automatically become the judge without being even conscious of it. And by the way, there is a lot of science behind this. And by the way, there's a lot of implicit bias associated with this, that we tend to overestimate negative emotions in especially Black males. We tend to take a neutral expression and say, there's probably some anger in there. So think about now that there's a skill, and then there's also a bias on top of the skill, and how much learning there has to be in order for us to become truly emotionally intelligent. Let's all take a nice long inhale and an exhale. Just digest this. So you get to take this course and learn all about things like emotion language and labeling and expressing and regulating emotion. I think that's pretty exciting. So I wanted to share with you a little bit more. Over the years, we've come up with lots of different areas of emotion regulation. By the way, the first is permission to feel. In our center's work, there is no such thing as a good emotion. There's no such thing as a bad emotion. Emotions are experiences in life, and we have to honor and cherish them all. Of course, we don't want to experience the unpleasant ones all the time, because that's not having a good life. But we can't feel the good ones all the time or the pleasant ones all the time, because that's just not realistic. So let's think about this some more. There's physiological regulation. One of the techniques that we know is very helpful is mindful breathing. So I thought we would do one together tonight. How does that sound? Can I ask everyone to take a nice long inhale and an exhale? Please try to sit up straight, have good posture. We're going to do one of my favorites that I learned from a Vietnamese mindfulness teacher named Thich Nhat Hanh. When we breathe in, we're going to say the word in. And when we breathe out, we're going to say the word out. And then we're going to say the word deep and slow. And then we're going to say calm and ease. And then we're going to put a little smile on our face and say release. Let's just try it. Are you ready? I'll help you through it. Try to be still Let's breathe in and say in. And exhale out. Breathe in and say deep. Exhale slow. Breathe in and say calm. Breathe out and say ease. Breathe in with a little smile on your face. And exhale and just say the word release. That took a minute. Let me ask you a question. How do you feel after doing a little exercise like that? A little calmer? How do I feel? I feel much more present, just so you know. I have attention problems. I'm always all over the place, and these exercises just really help me. By the way, I use this exercise almost every night when I go to bed because my brain is still racing. I just say in and out, and deep and slow, and boom, I'm asleep. And there is tremendous research to support the benefits of these kinds of breathing exercises. I want to say this is not a religious practice. It's just breathing. And there's no need to attribute it to any religion. We can just simply try to be still. Think about it. Our brains are so trained to be all over the place. When you wake up in the morning, like think about it. I'm on my phone. I'm checking my emails. Oh, then I get a new Twitter. Anyone know what I'm talking about? How many of you believe your brains are trained to be fully distracted? I know mine is. It's awful. And I'm like, oh, wow. There's exercises to help me deactivate and be still. Self-care oftentimes gets a bad rap. I just want to tell you, please take care of yourselves. This is not about like spending a ton of money getting a fancy massage, but if you can afford it, go for it. Take me with you. It's not about doing that, right? Self-care is giving yourself 5 minutes, just 5 minutes to take a break and go outside. Literally. Sing a song while you make your bed. Write a gratitude letter to someone. Listen to a new podcast. Offer something to your community. Take, as my friend Dr. Keltner, a psychologist at University of California, Berkeley, says, take an awe walk. Literally, just leave your house for 5 minutes or your apartment, wherever you live. You don't have to be in a fancy neighborhood. You don't have to be on the beach. And just look at the trees, look at the sky, look at the earth, watch the ants, look at the snow, which we know is happening. Just give yourself some freedom and space. We know that relationships are at the core of healthy emotion regulation. Remember that your emotions are contagious. So if you're really stressed out, your students are going to feel that way. And it's not even going to be conscious to them why they're feeling that way, because our emotions are contagious. If you're really activated by someone, which I'm very easily activated, there's a trick. You just paint a picture around them. And you just like, pretend it's a movie. Whenever I'm with someone who really is driving me crazy, I'm just like, wow, that's a funny movie. And I separate myself from it so I don't feel so kind of overwhelmed by it. Remember to be that Uncle Marvin. Just be there. You don't have to say anything. Do you know that research shows just the mere presence of a caring person helps us to deactivate? Engage in both traditional and positive empathy. We know, just to be truthful with all of you, I've received a lot of empathy over the last couple months because I lost 2 relatives to COVID. 2 of my aunts died of COVID over the last couple of months. It was heartbreaking and unnecessary, but they did sadly die. And I reached lots of emails and lots of people showing their empathy, and I'm deeply appreciative of that. I want to share something though that's a little bit of a twist on empathy. For example, we have this national course that we've worked our butts off. Erin and our team have really worked hard to make this available for free to everyone. We put out emails and tweets and everything. Not that many people wrote, hey, Mark, congratulations on making this course available for free. And so I want to remind all of us that we tend to focus a lot on helping people get through negative experiences. But please remember, people need that little compliment. People need to be seen. They need to be heard. They need to feel like they belong. And some great ways of doing that are just acknowledgement, a simple thank you, or I saw that, or I appreciate you. And let me tell you, a lot of us make mistakes, myself included. Joke is, in my family, that I'm like not really the director of the Center for Emotional Intelligence. My mother-in-law, who is from Panama, got stuck here. She came up for a family event in March. Of course, all things changed, and good old Irene could not go back to Panama. And she was here. We thought she'd be here for a month, 2 months, 3 months, 5 months, 7 months. I mean, come on, 7 months with your mother-in-law living with you? It was not easy. To the point where we were at dinner one night and she looked at me and she was like, are you really the director of the Center for Emotional Intelligence? And I remember thinking to myself, not tonight, not tonight. I don't want you to even imagine what it was like in my house that night. Yes, I failed at regulating my feelings. But it got better. It takes work. I apologized. I asked for forgiveness, and we try to move on. Ask yourself, what's your self-talk? How has your self-talk been over the last couple of months? Really, how has your self-talk been? What do you say to yourself when things go wrong? Here's a trick. You can develop a more positive self-talk. You can challenge yourself. You can challenge yourself. When you see yourself being really negative, and you can say, you know what? There's got to be another way to look at this. There's got to be another way to look at this. One way to get really good at this is to imagine you're giving advice to a friend. So when my book came out, a mom came up to me and she's like, this really works. I'm like, what do you mean this really works? She's like, that thing about giving advice. I'm like, what do you mean? She's like, well, you wrote about it. I'm like, yeah. She's like, well, my kid was in the car and he was freaking out about going to the dentist. And I didn't know what to say to him. And I remember what you wrote. And I just said, hey, honey, I know you're having these strong feelings about going to the dentist, but imagine you were noticing your best friend feel this way. What would you ask? What would you suggest to him? And all of a sudden the kid was like, well, I would tell him this, and I would tell him that, and I would tell him this, and I would tell him that. And then the mom said to him, well, honey, maybe you can try those things out for yourself. And then she said the kid was like startled by that. And then he took a minute and then he's like, Mommy, you're a genius. So what I love about that is that you don't always have to be the knower, right? You don't have to always be the knower. You just have to be the compassionate supporter. Does this resonate with you? You don't have to have all the answers. You just have to show you care and allow even students to reflect on and think about the strategies that work best for them. Because I'll tell you right now, the strategies that work best for you may not be the ones that work best for kids. Managing life smartly. How are your routines? Are you thinking like a preventionist? Are you trying to have Zoom meetings and phone calls and FaceTimes with people that really help you be your best self? Or are you surrounding yourself with people who are not helping you be yourself, best self? Someone wrote ideal self. Exactly. That's a big part of our work with Ruler. Here's what teachers told us they wanted: more patience. They're trying to be more compassionate and caring. There's a tool we call the meta moment, seeing your best self. In the trainings, we go through this in more detail, but notice the things that activate you. Do those breathing exercises to help you calm, and then be and think about that best self so that then you can be your best self when you strategize. So I want us to really think about this right now. First, we talked about a lot of things today. We talked about different strategies like self-talk and giving advice. We talked about breathing and mindfulness. We talked about positive empathy. We talked about being our best selves. Of all the things that I spoke about briefly today, what's one strategy that you think you could commit to using right away? Pick one. Breathing. The mindful breathing, positive empathy, giving self-advice, being your own best friend, positive self-talk, positive empathy. But why? How is that strategy going to help you? What's going to be different for you? If you apply the breathing exercises, if you apply the positive self-talk, if you apply the giving advice, what will be different? Less anxiety, you won't stand in your way, you'll have more joy. What's going to get in the way? I tell you one thing, the thing that gets in the way of me being my best self is not getting enough sleep. I'm exhausted when I go to bed, I'm exhausted when I get up, and then I'm irritable in the morning. So I'm not replenishing. It's hard to be your best self when you have not replenished. Maybe you can relate. So I actually have my phone set to remind me to go to bed now. Wasn't using it for something positive. I want to end with a few last things. One is you owe it to yourself and your loved ones to use healthy emotion regulation strategies. What we know from research is that this skill, this strategy will support you in having greater well-being. It will support you in being your best self as an educator. It will support you in making the best possible decisions. I want to end with another just mindfulness meditation exercise. Let me ask all of you to get a good, comfortable seat. Just allow yourself to be comfortable. We're coming off a really, really challenging 9 months. And I'm going to ask all of us to just take a moment and bring someone to mind who we'll call a benefactor. Just bring someone to mind who we might call a benefactor. And when you think about that special person, I'd like you to send them a message. And we're going to do this together. May you be safe. May you be happy. May you be healthy. May you live with ease. The benefactor is just someone who you really care a lot about. Just send them that message. May you be safe. May you be happy. May you be healthy. May you live with ease. And now I want to ask you to imagine that person who means the world to you. Say this back to you. You imagine them say these words to you. May you be safe. May you be happy. May you be healthy. May you live with ease. Now I want to ask you to imagine a close friend, someone who's doing well right now. And with them in mind, let's wish our friend the same message. May you be safe. May you be happy. May you be healthy. May you live with ease. Take a moment now, please, and think about someone who's struggling, a friend or a family member who is just, they're really not doing so well right now. And just bring them into your being. And if you're comfortable, you can close your eyes and imagine that friend. Just keep your eyes open and just say to that person right here, right now, may you be safe. May you be happy. May you be healthy. May you live with ease. Now, all of this craziness, we're going back to some normal. We're around a bunch of our favorite people. Just imagine yourself with that group of people that brings you the ultimate joy. And look at all of them and wish them the same. May you be safe. May you be happy. May you be healthy. And may you live with ease. And now we're just going to sit back and give this to the world. What a gift we can give. And we wish all people everywhere the following. May you be safe. May you be happy. May you be healthy. May you live with ease. So I learned that from a meditation teacher who I enjoy very much. Her name is Sharon Salzberg. It's a very simple way to just be still and give. And just be still. So as I wrap my time with you, I'd like to just say, first, please give yourself and everyone you care about the permission to feel. Second, strive to be that emotion scientist and not the emotion judge. Remember, this is about accepting all feelings and learning how to use them wisely. Appreciate that developing these skills can be harder than learning traditional hard skills. This is life's work. Be the role model. We also have to focus on systemic change. It's not about any one of us, it's about all of us. It's about our schools, our communities, our policies, government taking our own and our children's emotions seriously. And I want to wrap up by saying, please don't give up on yourself. Please don't give up on our kids. Together, I really do believe that we can make a difference and create a healthier and more equitable, innovative, and compassionate society. And we have an app that you can look at if you want to learn more about emotional intelligence. You heard about the course from Becky. We're going to put that course back into the thing, so you have that link, and we'll send out this link afterwards. And I just want to end with a quote by Viktor Frankl, who is one of my heroes. He wrote, between stimulus and response, there is space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom. You can learn more about the app, more about my free articles and our center's work. If you just go to my website, there's links to everything. So just, that's your one-stop shopping. You can even join virtual book clubs. You can join lots of great things. Tomorrow night, actually, on Thursday night, I'm interviewing Niobe Way, who studies toxic masculinity and the crisis of connection. So many things that you can learn about. And on that note, I want to turn it over to Sherelle to bring our night to a close. And I want to just say thank you, NEA, for inviting me into your world. And may all of you be happy, safe, healthy, and live with ease during this holiday season. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Actually, I believe President Becky Pringle is still on, so I'm going to defer to her.
Okay.
And I think Aaron still had me off camera. Am I on camera now?
You just came on.
Okay.
I am still here. Mark, I could not stop listening to your soothing, powerful voice.
Appreciate that.
For me, it's 9 o'clock on the East Coast, and after a very long day, it was a good reminder that we must, Norma Wong said this, that we must create spaciousness in our own lives to be able to do what we must to ensure everyone knows freedom.
Couldn't agree more.
That is what you began the work with us tonight. And I know many of our members on this webinar have been working toward trying to practice some of the things that you've taught us. But we need these tools, and we need the constant reminder, and we need each other, and we need experts like you, Mark, who you bringing your whole heart to this work. And so let me just express my gratitude to you.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you for the work you've done and continue to do, knowing that these folks, the educators across this country, are working so incredibly hard to be worthy of their children. Thank you all for joining us tonight, and I encourage you to go to educatingthroughcrisis.org where you can get more information. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Aaron. Thank you, Sherelle. Good night, everyone.
All right. Bye, everyone. Have a wonderful holiday break, please. Thank you. Good to see you, Becky. Thank you, Sherelle. Thank you, Aaron, and hope to see you again very soon.
Thank you all.